Welcome to the Therapist HQ, your weekly pep talk for private practice pros. Let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome back to the Therapist HQ podcast. I am so glad that you're here. Before we dive in, as always, let's do a quick little catch up on my week and what has been going on. Many of you know that I am preparing for a quick little surgery jaunt. And so I have just been preparing both personally and professionally, taking care of myself and also taking care of my businesses just to make sure that everything is in tip top shape, organized, and as I want it for my leave. Some of these things have included getting coverage for my interns just for the first couple days while I sort of come off anesthesia. I have a really great colleague of mine who is going to be the point of contact for my interns. I am scheduling out a bunch of content and deliverables that I have and pre-scheduling some blog posts for my practice's website so that I can really kick back for the first couple weeks of April and just know that everything is taken care of. If anybody has any questions about how I'm preparing for an extended leave, I've also taken 2 maternity leaves in my practice. So to me at this point, taking 2 weeks is like no problem. Like this is very easy peasy as far as having the conversations with my clients and preparing the back end admin stuff. So all good things in the land of preparing for sure. And I'm sure more to come too as the surgery gets closer. So and now let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in the field right now, because I think it actually sets up today's topic perfectly. If you've been paying attention to the mental health space lately, you already know that 2025 and going into 2026 has just been a lot. Look around. Costs are up, office rent, liability insurance, EHR softwares, all of it. Competition is increasing. Tech companies are flooding the market with their therapy alternatives, and us therapists, the actual humans doing the work, are being squeezed from every direction. And I see this conversation happening constantly in therapist communities online. And what I keep noticing is that the therapists who are weathering this moment well, they all have one thing in common. They are not just operating as clinicians, they are operating as CEOs. That is exactly what we are talking about today. So today's episode is all about developing a CEO mindset as a therapist in private practice. We are going to talk about why so many of us struggle with this, what it actually means to think like a CEO, and why this matters. Whether you're just starting your practice, actively building it, or you've been doing this for years and just want to level up how you're running things, this is perfect for you. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the honest conversation first. Why do therapists struggle so much to think like business owners? And I want to say up front, if this has been you, there is nothing wrong with you. This is an almost universal experience in our field, and it makes complete sense when you understand the context. The first reason is the most obvious one. Nobody taught us this. Grad school trained us to be excellent, top notch clinicians. We studied theory, we did supervised hours, we learned how to sit with people in their hardest moments, and that training is incredibly valuable. But somewhere in those hundreds of hours of coursework, the business side of running a practice just didn't make the syllabus, apparently. There's actually ongoing debate in our field about whether grad programs should be teaching business at all. And while that conversation is important, here's what I know for sure. You graduated, you got licensed, and then you looked up and realized you were now also responsible for marketing, finances, operations, and strategy with zero formal preparation for any of it. That is a jarring transition, and most of us have experienced it. The second reason is a little deeper, and it's about the identity that we've built in this field. We became therapists because we want to help people. That is a beautiful thing. But over time, many of us internalized a story that says helping people and making money are somehow intention. They're charging what we're worth is selfish. That having a business mindset conflicts with being a caring and ethical clinician. We may have even gotten messages in our training or from colleagues that reinforced this. The idea that good therapists sacrifice, that sliding scales are a moral obligation, that prioritizing the financial health of your practice is somehow at odds with your values. And when that's the water that you've been swimming in, stepping into a CEO identity can feel super uncomfy, like you're not becoming someone you're not. The third reason is one that I see come up over and over again. Therapists enter private practice with an employee mindset and not an owner mindset. And this makes sense too, because most of us spent years working in agencies, hospitals, or group practices before going out on our own. We were used to someone else handling billing, marketing, scheduling, compliance. We showed up, we did the clinical work, and we went home. Transitioning to private practice can feel just like doing that same thing, but independently, when in reality, it's a fundamentally different role. You're not just a clinician anymore. You're the CEO, the CFO, the marketing director, and frankly, sometimes the janitor. And if you're still operating with an employee mindset, you're probably feeling overworked, underpaid, and confused about why things aren't clicking. And the fourth reason, and this one is so important, is that the emotional and psychological challenges of entrepreneurship are real and they show up fast. Money stuff gets activated, visibility stuff gets activated, perfectionism gets activated, imposter syndrome, feeling like you're not qualified enough, experienced enough, credentialed enough to charge what you want, to market yourself, to call yourself a business owner. That is incredibly common. And for therapists who spend their professional lives helping other people work through these very things, it can feel embarrassing to admit that we're struggling with them ourselves. But I want to name it because it's real. The inner work of building a business is just as significant as the strategy work. So now let's talk about what it actually means to have a CEO mindset, because I think that phrase gets thrown around a lot and it can feel vague or intimidating, like you need a suit in a corner office to qualify, and you don't. Let me break this down into something concrete. At its core, a CEO mindset means this. You think of yourself as the leader of a business and you make decisions from that perspective. Here's a distinction that I really love, and I want you to sit with it. There's a difference between working in your business and working on your business. Working in your business is doing the clinical work, seeing clients, writing notes, answering emails. That work is essential. But working on your business means stepping back and looking at the big picture. It means asking, where is this practice going? What is my vision? What systems do I need to build? What decisions do I need to make this month to create the practice I want 6 months from now? That elevated strategic perspective, that is the CEO hat. A CEO mindset also means you make decisions based on data, not just feelings. I know, we are all feelings people, okay, me included. That's literally our job. But in business, we need to be able to look at our numbers. What are our monthly expenses? What are we bringing in? What does our cancellation rate look like? What's our conversion rate from consultation calls to book clients? These are not scary questions. They're actually incredibly empowering when we start tracking them. Because when we know our numbers, we can make strategic decisions instead of reactive ones. A CEO mindset means you understand that your time is the most valuable resource and you become intentional about how you spend it. Not everything that feels urgent is actually important. A CEO knows the difference. A CEO is asking, is this the best use of my time, or can it be delegated, automated, or eliminated? That doesn't mean you have to build a team right away, but even as a solo practice owner, you can make decisions about what tasks to prioritize and what to systematize. A CEO mindset means you give yourself permission to have your vision. Where do you want your practice to go? What does your ideal caseload look like? What does your income goal need to be to support your life? And I mean, really support it and not just scrape by. What does sustainability look like for you? These aren't frivolous questions. They're very foundational, and a CEO asks them on purpose and regularly. And finally, a CEO mindset means that you stop apologizing for running a business. Charging your full fee is not exploitative. It's how you keep your doors open and serve your clients well long term. Marketing your practice is not arrogant. It's how people who need help find you. Saying no to clients who aren't a fit, enforcing your cancellation policy, setting clear boundaries around your time, these are not failures of compassion. They are requirements of a sustainable, thriving practice. Now, let me give you some tangible things that you can start doing right now to begin building the CEO mindset, because I never want you to leave an episode without something actionable in your hands. The first thing I want you to do is schedule CEO time. Block off time in your calendar, weekly, even just an hour, where your only job is to work on your business and not in it. Use that time to review your numbers, plan your marketing, think about your goals, and make strategic decisions. Guard it like you guard your client sessions. If you keep pushing it because something else comes up, it will never happen. Your business needs your leadership, not just your clinical hours. Second thing we're going to do is get clear on your numbers. If you don't know what your monthly expenses are, what your monthly revenue is, and what the gap between those two look like, that's your starting point. You cannot make CEO level decisions about your practice without this information. It doesn't have to be complicated. A simple spreadsheet works just fine. The goal is to just stop operating in the dark. Third is to write down your vision. This sounds simple and a lot of people skip it, but it is foundational. What does your ideal practice look like in 1 year, in 3 years? How many clients a week? What does your income look like? Are you solo? Do you want to add a group? Do you want to add any other revenue streams? Write it down because when you have a clear vision, your decision making gets so much easier. You can filter every choice through the question, does this get me closer to where I'm trying to go? Fourth, notice when you're operating from fear versus strategy. This is a mindset practice and it takes time, but start getting curious about the decisions you make in your practice. When you undercharge, when you avoid raising your rates, when you say yes to a client who clearly isn't the right fit, is that a strategic decision or is it a fear-based one? I'm not saying fear is bad. Fear is information, but a CEO doesn't let fear make the final call. And fifth, start calling yourself a business owner out loud in how you describe yourself and how you think about your work. You are not just a therapist who happens to have some clients. You are the CEO of your practice. That shift in language and identity is not fluff. It genuinely changes how we show up. Before we fully land this plane, I want to take a minute to talk about one of our sponsors for today. What if the client who said, I can't afford it, actually could, and they just didn't know it? Most people have no idea that their insurance covers out-of-network therapy, and without someone to walk them through it, they walk away. Mentaya fixes that. Their instant benefits checker shows clients exactly how much they'd be reimbursed in seconds. And once they sign up, Mentaya automatically submits their claims after every session. No super bills, no phone calls, no stress. It's one of the easiest ways to grow your private pay caseload without lowering your rates. You can use code TherapistHQ at Mentaya.com for a 30-day free trial of the benefits checker, a $29 value, completely free. Mentaya.com, code TherapistHQ. Okay, let's land the plane here with some encouragement before I let you go, because I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The fact that you're here listening to this, thinking about the business side of your practice and how to do it better, that is already a CEO move. So many therapists never do this. They stay stuck, stay frustrated, stay underpaid because no one ever told them they were allowed to think differently about their work. You're already doing something different just by showing up for yourself in this way. Building a CEO mindset isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice, just like everything else. You're going to have weeks where you feel totally locked in and weeks where you slide back into the old patterns. I can truly attest to this. That is normal. That is human. The goal is not perfection. It's awareness and progress. And I want to remind you of something. You went into this field because you wanted to help people. Having a financially healthy, strategically sound, sustainable practice doesn't take you away from that mission. It makes it possible. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot serve your clients well if you're constantly stressed about whether you're going to have enough clients next month. Building a strong business is how you protect your ability to do the work you love for the long haul. That is not selling out, it is showing up. Now, if today's episode resonated with you and you're thinking, okay, I want to actually take action on this, I want to tell you about 2 ways that I would love to help you. First, if you're just getting started in private practice or if you're thinking about making the leap, I have my private practice launch kit. This is everything you need to build your practice from the ground up. Step-by-step instructions on business creation, all the forms and scripts you need, a full marketing guide, and so much more. It's designed to take the overwhelm out of starting and give you a clear, concrete roadmap. You can grab that at the link in the show notes. And if you're already in private practice and you're wanting ongoing support, education, and community, that is what the HQ is for. The HQ is my private membership community for therapists in private practice, and inside, you'll get monthly group consult calls, weekly social media prompts so you always know what to post, monthly expert trainings on topics that actually matter to your practice, a full library of resources, and access to a custom GPT built specifically for therapists to help you with admin tasks, marketing copy, and more. The HQ is the place where you stop trying to figure all of this out alone, and you can learn more about that in the link in the show notes as well. All right, before I close out, it's time for my favorite part of the episode, Therapist in the Threads, where I, a therapist, pull a post from the Our Therapist community and we talk about it together. Okay, this week I was in r/therapist and came across a thread called "Quit Open Your Practice Love." Someone posted it as a pure hype post, essentially just cheering on their fellow therapist to take the leap, and the comment section lit up. There were people saying things like, "I had zero business, marketing, and IT experience, and it worked out, and I'll never go back to being someone's employee." Genuinely, so much energy in that thread. But here's what caught my eye. Right in the middle of all that encouragement, there were comments that were so honest, they stopped me in my tracks. One person said, "I hate marketing and don't have Facebook or any social media except Reddit and really don't want to start all that." Another said they've been trying to build a caseload for months and had 1 to 3 clients a week and wrote, "I wish I knew what the secret was." And someone else said, and this one really stayed with me, "We don't have enough therapists for the need, but not everyone is business savvy." And I just thought to myself, yes, that's it. That's the whole conversation right there. Because no one is born business savvy. No one walks out of their MSW, MFT, LMHC program knowing how to market themselves, set a sustainable fee, build a caseload from scratch, or think strategically about their income. That's not a personal failing, that's a gap in our training. And the therapists in the thread who were thriving weren't thriving because they were somehow naturally wired different. They were thriving because at some point they decided to learn the business side of this work, even though nobody taught them. That's the CEO mindset in action, and that's exactly what this episode has been about. Okay, that is a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. If this episode was helpful, please share it with a therapist friend who needs to hear it, because honestly, we just all need this conversation. I'll see you next week. Take good care of yourself, and of course, cheering you on always.